All right, what's up? Good morning, PT on Ice. Happy Thursday, everybody. Dr. Jeff Moore coming at you here for what we call Leadership Thursdays. It's been a big week. If you have not listened to Monday with Pop and Tuesday Dunaway's discussion about pain science and who it's appropriate for, and Wednesday Christina's discussion, I would almost encourage you to go back and knock those out in lieu of knocking this one out. It's been a great week for PT on Ice. So make sure you're catching those episodes. As for me, I am back from Traverse City. Thanks to Superior Physical Therapy for hosting us out there. It was kind of funny. I was there and then Dunaway was here. So Dunaway was actually at my clinic at Colorado in Motion, knocking out a class here with our crew. And I heard, of course, it was fabulous. And now tomorrow we are off to Milwaukee. So Marquette University, here we come. This is my last public course of the year. So I've got a few private ones still coming up in December, etc. But as far as just open to the general public, I believe this is the last one of the year. So looking forward to that. I got Alan coming up, going to be able to meet with the students. So Marquette University students, looking forward to seeing you all. It's always fun on Friday before the annual Marquette University course to hang out with the students and introduce thrust manipulation, talk about some great concepts. I think Alan's going to chat about population health. So going to be great. I'm fired up. And I'm sorry I'm a little bit early. I'm sure there won't be a lot of folks on live. I've got to hammer out CrossFit, and I've got some industrial health meetings before my flight leaves here early this afternoon. So I've got some work to do. So I've got to get on this right now. So we talk all the time on the show in general about how we should be doing our job, right? In better ways to do it. And that's absolutely critical and certainly a lot of value there. But I do think every now and then it's good to zoom back and say, should I do it? Right? So, is it the right job for me? Is it the most meaningful career for me? Or I'm not even speaking so much maybe to those who are in the rehab. What's up, Colin? Good morning, man. To those who are in the rehab world, I'm not talking so much about, doing rehab, but more so inside of that world, what niche really suits you? Is it one-on-one patient care? Is it teaching your colleagues? Is it educating your community? Is it running the business? Is it doing research? I mean, we all agree one of the coolest things about our gig is that there are so many different avenues that we can take it. Well, which one is right? Right? Which one is going to give the most back? And I think it's worth some reflection. And I think it takes some reflection because like everything else, it can all kind of run together. But when you take moments to pause and think about hopefully some of these key points that I can bring up, it might illuminate that pathway forward. So hopefully there's some value here, a bit of a different topic, but I think there's some merit. So what are the key things that you can recognize that might indicate that you are in the right lane? That you have chosen the right maybe niche inside of our profession or chosen the right aspect of our career? I think the first one is, and I think the most important, that's tough. I think the first one is that you have a disproportionately high amount of innovative original thought in that area. So just think about that for a second. So I have the luxury and pleasure to mentor a lot of clinicians around the country. So I just got back from Sioux Falls. I was with Mark out there. I'll be down next month with Drew in North Carolina, and watching these folks treat patients and just observing the way they go about it. And I can tell you one thing, that there are some people that are just made for patient care, and you can tell because they are so innovative and creative in the way they go about it. Like, you look around their room, right, and they've manufactured all sorts of little tools they can use and devices to better stretch someone and things they can give them for home. Think about like the bike tubes for traction, right, and all these different concepts, right, that they have thought about because they've thought about it, right? So they've wondered, how can I do that better? And these ideas came to them, and they put in that energy, and that energy was available. So I think that natural, creative, original thought, right, tends to come to people when they are really in their lane, right? Other folks, on the other hand, maybe that's not so much happening in patient care, but maybe that's happening with marketing, right? So maybe they're looking at their clinic and they're saying, man, there's a better way for us to get the word out. We should try this and we should try this. And I saw another group do this. And you can just see when they're talking about it that they have original, creative, innovative thought about how to get the word out of what we do to the masses, right? It's natural. It fires them up. Other folks feel that way about research, right? They recognize gaps that are there, and it drives them nuts. Like, what we really need to do is a study that says this, and here's why. And if you look at it from a 30,000 foot view, if you see the forest for the trees, right, this gap needs to be filled. The point is, it's so cool to watch people when they are filled with that kind of effortless, innovative, creative thought. They don't find themselves having to regurgitate other people's stuff because they're in their lane, and in their lane, a lot of innovation becomes natural, right? And you can see that inside of them. And that kind of moves into number 2. So I would say that number 1 is you have a disproportionately high amount of original creative thought. That is not to say that you're not trying to learn from other people and pull from what those have done before us, but it is to say that there is certainly just this innate ability in that space to do things that you haven't seen yet, to do things that are a little bit better than what's been done, and that comes naturally, right? Number 2, and this comes from number 1, is that overall the job energizes you, right? Because you are in that creative space, right? So when you are in that spot of doing what you were meant to do, right, the creativity comes natural, and from that creativity, from that innovation comes energy. Right? Because when you're channeling that, right, it elevates your energy. And the reason I'm probably talking faster right now is I'm talking about the folks that I've seen doing this. And number 1, the first thing you recognize is, hey, that's a great idea. But the second thing you recognize is, man, this person's fired up. Like, you can see their energy levels rising. You can see like they are getting jacked about this because, again, when you're being creative, when you're thinking originally, the energy level tends to go up. Now, you got to reflect on this though, because you can't look at it and say, well, Jeff, I don't feel that way because when I leave work, like I'm smoked. That's an unfair comparison because anything that we do, that we put our all into it, right, when we're done with the day, we're going to be a lot more tired than we were at the beginning of the day. There's a natural drain on our overall energy tank. But I want you to reflect on individual moments during that day. So think about when you went out and you had that meeting with the local physician group, when you went out and you gave that lecture at the school, or when that patient came in that was being sent to you because it's kind of your niche area, and you knocked out that individual patient who maybe had kind of a complex case, but you were looking forward to seeing him because you like that space. Like, think about how you feel right after those moments. When you're driving back from that meeting, think about when that new journal comes, your favorite journal, when JOSPT shows up and you see an article that you've been waiting to see in a certain space. Do you feel your energy going up? Are you excited to read it? Like, is that driving you? Can you feel that filling your tank? Right? Have those moments of reflection during the day, because from a retrospective standpoint, at the end of the day, it's never going to work because you're always going to say, oh, well, I'm exhausted. I gave it my all. And then it's not going to be very, very descriptive or very discriminatory. So think about over this next week, when you're doing the different tasks you're doing, when you're marketing for your clinic a bit, right? And you're working on some of that social media stuff or that email newsletter, when you're reading that new journal that came out, when you're seeing that new patient eval, right? When you're out in the community doing that library talk, right? Or out doing the running group discussion or whatever it is you do to engage with the public, really reflect on the way there and the way back, right? How did that change your energy level? Because if you can lock into something, a niche in this profession, an avenue of it that gives you back energy when you engage and when you're productive, you have in many ways found the key, right? Because that is going to be constantly filling your tank. Because we know that 20 or 25% of anything that we do is going to be a drag. Like, that is the nature of work and occupation and productive living. So if 50% of it though can be feeding you back, you're going to see that burnout's a long ways off on the horizon. So number 1, you have this natural kind of propensity towards original and innovative thought in that lane. Number 2, when you are engaged in that aspect of your job, you wind up with more energy than you brought in, right? You have that buzz, right? You're looking forward to engaging in that space. So that energy comes from that creativity, right? And finally, maybe the one that gives the best third-party person view of it because you're a little bit removed is, I would say, the number 3 indication is that you get really excited when other people say they want to learn about it, right? So you get really excited when a colleague says they want to go in that direction, right? They want to move into that marketing position at their organization. They want to move into that recruitment or professional development space. They want to move into that management role and help other people be more efficient. When they say, hey, I want to kind of do what you're doing, you get really fired up. And you can tell because you find yourself, wanting to tell them, the kind of impact that they can make, and tell them how awesome it is. And you're excited that because you're wondering, can they push things further than I was able to? And most importantly, maybe you don't see them as competition, right? Because possibly they're moving into what's up, Will? Good morning, man. Possibly they're moving into a space that you're in, and maybe some could perceive that as being competitive. But you don't tend to see it that way because to you, the mission in that space, right, is bigger than the individual competitive nature of us humans, right? So when people say they want to go into it and you recognize them as being talented, as opposed to you having a moment of feeling like, oh boy, I'm already kind of there. I was hoping nobody else was going to join me. You're jacked because you see the talent that's coming into the pool that might move forward the mission that you're trying to escalate. So think about how you feel when somebody says, I want to go into the space. And again, try to avoid that initial reaction of, a student says, I want to be a PT. And your answer is, well, man, don't do it because the ROI is not getting any better. Like, that's a reality for so many different things, right? But right beyond that, right? Think about, are you excited to tell them about the impact that we make, right? Are you pumped to see where their talent can bring things beyond wherever we push this needle to? Right? And are you thrilled to have them as an ally, right? And you don't see them as competition. You see them as one more sword fighting the good fight, right? So I think these are all things that you can reflect on as you go through your day, as you go through your week, right? What specific nature of things inside of your current position, right? Do you feel that you have effortless original thought in? Is it in marketing? Is it in management? Do you tend to see easy ways your organization could work to be more efficient and get more out of people without burning them out? Is it in patient care? Is your mind always turning about, man, next time I see them, I'm going to do this instead because I think about what I did and here's the direction I really want to go, right? Like is that where your mind is turning and bringing up these original thought trends? And then as that creativity develops, right? Are you getting energy back for it, right? When you're in that lane, do you find yourself walking away, even though maybe physically you're more tired because time went by? Are you mentally more stimulated? Are you looking forward to seeing them again or reading that next research article in that space? So is that creativity, right, giving you back that energy? And finally, do you love to spread the good news, right? When somebody else wants to jump in, right, are you quick to be like, man, that's awesome because here's what we're doing right now and here's where I think we can go. And boy, if we had you on board, I've got no doubt we could get there faster, right? Do you find yourself feeling that way, right? Or are you truly overcome by the negatives of what you're doing versus the positives? Give those things some thought. And like I said, pause during the day because if you wait until the end of the day, you're just going to say, well, I don't know, the whole thing was exhausting. And that's not what we're looking for. Look for that discriminative value. When you go over that lunch meeting, just take 1 second in your car and say, how do I feel right now? Like, am I jacked? Like, am I going back? Is my heart rate up a bit in a good way? Like, am I ready to rock and roll? Or did that truly drain me? And I'm really hoping we can do less of that, right? Think about those individual patients, those meetings, those spaces that you can create and originate and really lock into the ones that give you more energy back than you put in. I think if you can find this, it's going to be all the difference in the world as far as longevity, as far as burnout, and ultimately as far as what you're able to provide in service to your profession and to the mission, so that when we all look back, we believe there was some merit and it mattered that we were here. So think about those things and let me know what you think. Hit me up on Facebook. I'll be traveling all day today. So again, those who are coming to Milwaukee this weekend for the last public lumbar course of the year, we will see you there. Alan and I will be there for the Marquette University students on Friday. And then we will see the group for lumbar spine management Saturday, Sunday. That's it for me, guys. Everybody, if I don't see you before then, enjoy Thanksgiving. Yeah, you bet, Colin. Thank you. Thanks, Will. Thanks for being on, guys. I know I was really early. I got to run to CrossFit. I got a huge list of things that have to get done before my butt's on that plane early this afternoon. So thanks, everyone. Have an awesome day. Enjoy clinic. Let me know what you think.